Trump. Joining me now is Sean Spicer, Chief Strategist and Communications Director for the Republican National Committee. Sean, you heard Paul Ryan right there. This is the first time that we've had the chance to speak since Paul Ryan called Trump's remarks the textbook definition of a racist comment, and now he says it's beyond the pale. Do you agree with Paul Ryan?
Well, I think Donald Trump addressed that on Tuesday, put out a statement talking about the fact that it wasn't addressing the judge's heritage and moved on from that. And I think the speaker obviously had a problem with the rhetoric that he used. Mr. Trump, hold on. Kate, let me answer the question. Mr. Trump addressed it, talked about the fact that he was not trying to attack the judge's heritage. That being said, I mean, there's a sharp difference between the two parties. We have someone who is a non-traditional candidate who the speaker and others have said we don't like some of the rhetoric. On the Democratic side, you have a nominee who the White House acknowledges under criminal FBI investigation and who further has vast policy differences. There's a big difference. We have someone who from time to time says things that are non-traditional and that some of the folks in our that have had an issue with. On the Democratic side, they have vast policy differences. They are talking about trying to bridge the gap between far-left progressive socialism policies. That's a much, much greater gap. And so, with all due respect to the open, the idea that the Democratic Party is unified is ridiculous. I mean, Bernie Sanders is talking about going forward and making huge changes to the Democratic platform, both in terms of foreign policy, with respect to Israel specifically,
we're definitely going to be talking to the Democrats.
Domestic policies going to the far left.
We're going to be talking about the Democrats in this show. We have been talking about, we will talk about the Democrats. I want to talk about your party with you, since you are one of the leaders of your party. You're the chief strategist of the Republican National Committee.
I'd love to talk about it.
That's wonderful, Sean. You say that his comments are sometimes people in your party don't like some of his remarks. It's not just that they don't like the remarks. Let's be very clear. They're calling his remarks racist. That's an important distinction. You think you do not think those remarks were racist?
No, I think Mr. Trump's comments speak for themselves in the sense that on Tuesday he was very clear that he was not trying to speak to the judge's heritage.
You
so
really
I'm going to take Mr. Trump at his word on that.
Misconstrued, John?
No, what I'm going to say is that he has gone out and clarified what his intent was. So I'm not going to relitigate the past. I think we're ready to move forward. You know, tomorrow alone we're going to sit down. We have a national day of action around the country. 5,000 plus volunteers going through 14 battleground states to get us ready to November. We're on track when you look at the polls and the enthusiasm. Look, people have had enough of Hillary Clinton. They're ready for a change. We've had enough of the corruption, enough of the status quo,
Paul Ryan
enough
wrong?
excuses.
Is Mitch
We're
McConnell
ready for
wrong?
change.
Is Ben Sasse wrong? Is Reed Ribble
wrong? No, they're not wrong.
Is Susan Collins
this
wrong?
is not a question. No, this isn't a question about wrong. It's a question of they have objected to some rhetoric that was used. Mr. Trump addressed it. So I know that there's this obsession with going on in the Republican.
That was a new interview with Paul Ryan with ABC News, where he says his remarks were beyond the pale. They're still addressing it.
Yeah. And again, no, they are continuing to relitigate something that has been clarified. That's the point, Kate.
You are comfortable. His intent, he calls him misconstrued, but he's the one who brought up the Mexican heritage, calling this federal judge a Mexican. You are comfortable with your nominee backing and embracing a nominee that people in your own party say is engaging in racist commentary.
No, I'm not. I guess my point is that the concerns were addressed to Mr. Trump, saying, hey, the way this is coming off appears to have these connotations. Mr. Trump on Tuesday addressed that and said, I'm not intending to do that. I understand that. I'm going to take him at his word. I'm not saying by any means that we were comfortable with the way they were coming out. But when brought to his attention, he clarified what he meant. And I think we're ready to move on and talk about how we're going to win in November.
Two more questions for you. There is now no longer whispers, but a lot more talk about a revolt, a coup, an insurrection on the convention floor. What do you say to the Bob Vander Plaats and the Hugh Hewitts of your party?
Well, I think there's a lot of individuals who supported a candidate passionately that wasn't Donald Trump, and they are trying to figure out how they can get their candidate or their issue put in. But the matter is, right now we're headed into Cleveland. We're going to be unified, and the delegates of this convention. Again, we've litigated this before. There is a degree to which they are bound on the first and second ballots. I think this is a great Twitter conversation and something that people love to talk about at barbecues and amongst the New York elites. But this is not where the direction that it's headed in.
Real quick, you mentioned it. I want to get it in. You guys have a big weekend ahead. You're training volunteers across 14 states. This is hugely important for your ground game in November. I don't need to tell that you that. You know that. How is Donald Trump helping you in building that ground game with these volunteers?
It's a great question because there's a level of intensity that the people who supported Donald Trump, he got more votes than anyone in Republican Party history. Those people are unbelievably passionate. So we send out an email to volunteers saying, hey, we're having this training session. The response has been unbelievably overwhelming, exponentially larger than in past cycles. We are going to have the largest, most comprehensive ground game across battleground states that this party and, frankly, any party has put forward in political history. We are going to put forward the most focused ground game and data and digital operation, research operation that any party has ever seen, and I think that's what's going to propel us to victory in November.
Sean Spicer. Thanks, Sean.
Thanks, Kate.